if you can stand it, if you could bring readers into the process of trying to write something, that would actually be absolutely magnetic, and it would, people would be invested in you, and that would be a great audience for your book.
Welcome to the Dragon Tree Podcast, the show where we talk to great communicators about how they do what they do. Today, we're excited to welcome back author Sadie Dingfelder. Sadie writes for publications like The Washington Post, National Geographic, the New York Times Magazine, and other publications. We talked to Sadie on our very first Dragon Tree podcast ever when she was here to promote a new book she'd written called Do I Know You? We're thrilled to have Sadie back to ask about the book tour associated with that book which just wrapped up recently. Welcome, Sadie.
Thank you for having me. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride. Yes. And you helped us kick it off and you set the tone. So thank you so much. Well, first, let's provide some context to some audience members who might not be familiar with your work. You wrote the book, Do I Know You? It was a success. Now, can you talk to us about, I guess if we're going to zoom out for a second, I've heard that book tours can kind of be divided into two eras. So like pre-Zoom or pre-COVID, if you want to say it that way, and kind of what we have today.
Yeah.
Is that true? And if so, how in your experience?
Well, I have to admit, I didn't do a book tour before COVID, so all I know is after COVID. But the word on the street is that events in general have all become very depleted. People are not getting out of their houses like they used to, for whatever reason. So like everything, concerts, like music, that's a music performance, but like ballet, everything. So book talks, out of all of the things you could leave your house to see, are not necessarily the most exciting. So, I appreciate that. It takes a lot to get people it takes a lot to get me out of my house. So.
Right. Well, present company excluded, because you're very entertaining. And I actually don't, I think most, there's a preconceived notion that most authors are kind of like introverts and just very kind of keep things close to the vest. But just to throw it out there, whenever your second book comes out and somebody watching wants to go see you, you're very entertaining and thoroughly prepare for these things, which is really impressive.
What's actually been fun is, I think in general, the trade-off isn't great, right? Like it would be more fun to be able to go around the country and meet people and talk to them. That'd be better. For me, I'm an extrovert. Maybe all the other authors prefer the way it's gone. But yeah. I have done some book clubs, digital, like I pop into their book club meeting on Zoom. I've done a lot of talks for healthcare professionals in England, which is super cool. It's not something that I would have gotten to do before Zoom.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if there's anyone watching right now who's not overly familiar with your work, a lot of it does, and please forgive me if I'm mischaracterizing it, but a lot of it, after having read your book and having known you in our past interactions, a lot to do with psychology, maybe psychiatry to a certain extent, and neurology, things like that. Is that, I don't want to put you in a box, but is that for people who might be kind of curious and wanting to look at your work? Is that kind of a fair assessment of most of your work?
My stated goal is I would like to be like the modern Oliver Sacks, right? Like that's my niche. That's what I would like to be. And when people bring me in to talk, do a workshop, it's usually about neurodiversity and sort of like big tent neurodiversity, which is this idea that, the current categories that we have for like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, whatever, like if you qualify for one of those diagnoses, you usually qualify for like 4 others, right? So they're not very good categories. It's not a good nosology. And really all we know is that there are weirdos and people for whom the world was not designed cognitively. And so that's usually what I end up talking about.
But every once in a while, you'll jump in and like somebody will have stated something like, oh, I just found out I'm this. And a lot of times it's later in life. People just didn't even know to ask the right questions. And they'll say, oh, I was just diagnosed with this, or I think I might be this. And then you'll helpfully add on, kind of like in a duet kind of sense, where what this person is kind of going through, any kind of similarities you might have, and kind of type back to your work, which I always find really interesting.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, it's like, so it's like a double-edged sword. Like, it's very exciting to get a diagnosis of ADHD or whatever, because you knew that you were different, right? But you don't, but sometimes when you get into it, you're like, okay, but I'm getting these TikToks or whatever, and I'm not really fitting the profile fully. Or like, oh, am I really this thing or that thing, whatever. And like, I think, what people do is they kind of get into the weeds. Whereas like the bottom line is, if you have been struggling with things that other people find effortless, like most other people seem to think is not difficult, then you're probably neurodiverse, even if you don't fit fully in like an ADHD category or whatever.
And what Do I Know You does a really good job of is kind of, in a really approachable way, it kind of shows the gamut of neurodiversity, and also and you interlace personal stories in there, which are absolutely hilarious, of you as a neurodiverse person kind of engaging with the world and in the way you put it, which is a world that's not really designed for you. But and comedy definitely ensues. So anyone, another plug off the top for your book there. Well, speaking of the book, let's get back to the tour, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
Can you talk about how I think within the last several months, your book tour has concluded. I may be a little off on my timeline there, but how do you feel like it went? Do you feel like a sense of exhilaration? Are you kind of like, was it stressful? Because I know you traveled internationally for to Italy and other places for some of your stops. So can you kind of characterize how you feel now, kind of on the other side of it?
Yeah, and I want to show you my international book covers. This is Korea.
Oh,
isn't that cool?
Oh my gosh.
I have no idea what it says. And then here is Italy. I also cannot read that, but
that's a little closer to what the American one looks like. A little closer.
Oh yeah, and the American. So here's the American one. Yeah, you've seen that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so you were definitely there for the best highlight of the book tour, like DC. Oh. So what I found, honestly, is that you can take your book tour to places where you have either like a really good core group of like true believers or best friends or some combination. And even when I had a family member tell, my aunt and uncle told me to come to Philadelphia, and they're like the most popular people in Philadelphia. So I thought for sure they would bring out a zillion people. And actually I think there was only like 2 people there. So Philadelphia was a bit of a bust, even though actually the bookstore owner was really cool. But that was like maybe 6 people. So that is not worth a trip to Philadelphia, generally speaking, even though but I'm glad I went because I got to hang out with my relatives and, whatever. New York was pretty big, actually. That one was really fun. This is my tip. This is my hot tip, though. Probably that's something that anyone could figure out. You want to get an author in there who is more famous than you are.
Oh, good idea.
And so I got Carl Zimmer. And also I don't know these people, right? I just emailed Carl Zimmer out of the clear blue sky, and he was so kind because they all really, I feel for you as a first-time author, like out there hustling, right? So you can prey upon their good nature and get them to come and speak. So yeah, Carl Zimmer came to my book event in Princeton, I think, where he lives, near where he lives. Is that right? I think right. And that was really, really cool. And that got people out. But Boston was a disaster. Okay. I think I have a lot of friends in Boston, but a lot of friends is really just 4 or 5 friends. And they all came, which was very nice, right? But no one else came, even though I got a famous writer to do it with me. So then I was embarrassed because I was like, I'm so sorry.
I wonder if they were embarrassed. Being the more popular author, you would have thought they would have brought some people too, right?
Yeah, but when you get to at the end of the day, even a famous author is not getting mobbed on the street, right? So
yeah, it's not what it used to be.
No, but that's okay. Well, I don't know if ever authors were that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Was James Joyce followed around by a coterie of admirers?
I heard a probably apocryphal story about Leo Tolstoy. Used to get mobbed wherever he would go.
Oh yeah, he was a big deal.
Of course, he's like an all-timer. Yeah, right. So anyway, you'll be an all-timer. You'll be a Leo Tolstoy. You'll get there. But yeah, we got to start somewhere. Do I have this right from reading your book? Did you go to, there was some Massachusetts connection, right?
Yeah,
Did you go to school there
I went to school at Smith College.
That's right.
And I did a talk in Northampton, and that one was actually pretty well attended and really fun. And I also did a talk at school at Smith College where I went to school. Oh my gosh, those students are so different than we were.
Oh,
I mean, it might have just been like the subset that comes out to like random book talks, but when I went to Smith, we were like super, like we weren't just type A, we were like type A plus, right? Like we were like all of us were like fighting for the front row pretty much and talking a lot and just like making a spectacle of ourselves.
I think like, that was almost an expectation when that was like a major marketing push of a book was to go on any sort of a tour.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's kind of like herky jerky now, where if you can get, people to kind of go with it, that happens. But a lot of times it's also digital. That's so, I mean, this is all very eye opening for me because I'm kind of the typical person who, even if I'm super pumped up about a new book coming out, I'll just read it. Like I don't need to be convinced,
You know what though? In the modern era, like the best thing you can do to like support your favorite author is to leave a review on Goodreads or Amazon. Like,
okay.
Yeah. You don't have to go to the book tour. Just leave a nice review. It makes such a big difference. It's wild.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm sure the algorithm has, it's the algorithm likes that, to have a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
Either way.
And I met
good or bad, actually.
I met this very smart, like Gen Z author. I mean, he has a New York Times bestselling book, and his whole following is built on TikTok. He's called Etymology Nerd. And he's so clever. Like he got people to like start posting like good reviews of his book, like all of his whole friends and family, like the moment it came out. It didn't even occur to me to ask people to do that. And that, like, I think that was one really helpful thing. Of course, his massive following on TikTok was also helpful. And it's a good book. It's called Algo Speak, and it's about how algorithms are shaping how we talk. He's great if you're interested in keeping track of how the youngsters are talking. He's one of my favorite sources.
Oh, that's great. He's on TikTok, so he's accessible.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of TikTok and social media, so you have I alluded to it earlier, that you have a really strong social media presence. So I guess two questions. How did you, when you were writing the book, how did you kind of, because I think you started earlier than when you were writing the book, how did you kind of juggle and this is, again, I'm sorry to keep stopping, but this is for like maybe people in the audience who are writing their first book or just figuring out how all this kind of, this ecosystem works. How would you say that you juggled, doing your online presence and writing, and then post writing the book? How did you juggle, putting in time and energy into your book tour, whether it was in person or digital, and really cultivating your social media following? Is that a good way to parse that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let me tell you, I learned a lot and I would do it differently. So if you're writing a book today and if you can stand it, I mean, writing a book is so much work, right? And you probably already have another job too. But if you are the type of person that can just pile on more and okay, so as writers, I think that I prefer to like just work on something, get it perfect, and then like sort of, I just want to show it once it's done, right? But I think in the modern era, people want to see your work. And this isn't just true for writers, right? This is true as a journalist, people really want to see like what you did. They want to see behind the scenes because it makes you more trustworthy and it sort of contextualizes things. And this is true for like ballet dancers. People want to see the behind the scenes of ballet. They want to see behind the scenes of like theater. Like it's true for everything, right? And that's really hard for writers. And I didn't really do that. When I wrote my book, I was just being what's the word? Like a monk, right? Like I didn't have any social life and I was not trying to social media at all. I'm pretty sure. Oops, I just hit my little light. Okay. Yeah. And I think that if you can stand it, if you could bring readers into the process of trying to write something, that would actually be absolutely magnetic. And it would, people would be invested and that would be a great audience for your book, hopefully. It might work better for like a second time author or someone who's doing a series, like a fantasy series or something like that. On the other hand, maybe if you're doing fiction, like you don't want to throw in spoilers. But in retrospect, since my book was all about going around the country and getting my brain scanned by all these different psychologists and neuroscientists, like if I was doing that again, like I would 100% like videotape it and like make regular short form videos or long form videos even about what I was learning about my brain as I went. I think that would probably be helpful not only for building that audience, but also working through my own thoughts. But again, like it's against my like core being to like let people see the messy process. Like I just want to show people the sterling end product, but I think I would try to do that if I did it again. So yeah, I would definitely do that. Also,
that raises. Oh, sorry.
I'm like, also, you want to network, like, really, like, I really wish that I had like made friends with people at, the New York Times or New Yorker magazine, because I felt like that sort of New York bubble was really impossible for me to break into. And I waited until I was kind of done. Like, I just thought I could send them my book and they would read it and they'd be like, wow, this is great. I mean, I'm sure that does happen, but it didn't happen for me. So I wish I had networked myself into that to just get my stuff flagged a little better, because the bottom line is your publisher. I mean, Little Brown is great. Like they're my publishing company, but I am the smallest fish in their pond. And they got me on national news and they scheduled me on NPR and probably like a handful of other like sort of national media outlets. But I planned the whole tour myself. I did any additional marketing myself, basically. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing you have to do.
Well, I was going to get to that, because it seemed like from, when I would dip into your social media and see how your tour was going, it seemed like you probably had a management team behind you.
Oh, I'm thrilled that I was projecting that.
No, that's so funny. So you're doing everything. Because you alluded, or you had mentioned the fact that you went to Philadelphia based on your family saying, hey, come on over here. So I figured there was an aspect of, I'm just doing this by the seat of my pants. But it sounds like aside from the national news spots, a lot of that was left to you. And did they deputize you to do that? Did you take the initiative, or is that like a little dance that has to be done, or they just say you're on your own kind of thing? Or
leading up to the publication of the book, we had like weekly call-in meetings where we talked about everything we were doing, and I had this huge spreadsheet with tabs for like every different type of media and things like that, and who I was, and I worked like really hard on it. And at that point, my book had already been written, and so I had time, And so anyway, we're on the phone and we would talk about what we were doing every week. But honestly, like I felt like I was doing like 95% of it. And they were doing like a little, I mean, again, like Little Brown, thank you for all of your hard work. But that's what it was. And I think that's probably what it is for most writers. But if you're a big fish, I'm sure that it's a different experience.
And I know that this isn't any path that you have gone down or maybe will ever go down, but that seems to be the argument for self-publishing.
Yeah.
I've heard is that you're already doing so much of the marketing anyway. I mean, obviously to have Little Brown behind you is totally, that's a level up, and in my opinion, it's kind of a different level. But yeah, just to make a living is really hard when it's all of it is on you. And I guess that kind of dovetails into another question, which was, you had mentioned earlier about trying to network with the New York kind of outlets.
Yeah.
Is that something that so you're in DC, you're based out of Washington, DC area.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you can do remotely? I mean, is that something you can do via social media, or do you physically have to go to New York and kind of attend parties, or what does that look like in your mind?
I think you just have to go. And I've like, since then, I've met some people who are super cool New York writers who are very friendly and helpful. But you just have to go to other book releases.
Okay. Probably a good place to start, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sort of network. Okay.
And also, if you're like me and you have like a traditional publisher, they probably could have helped me with that, but I didn't even think to ask. So.
Okay. No, good to know. You've learned a lot of lessons, and I'm really grateful that you're imparting to the audience and me, because this is all we don't see the behind the scenes. So this is wonderful.
Yeah, happy to share. If any of your listeners has ideas for things I should do, like let me know, because I don't really know what I'm doing still.
Absolutely. No, we'll ask, have you give your contact information at the end if you're happy to do so, and people can get in touch, or at least your social media handles and things like that. And we'll share that. So I guess creating a book tour in the way you did it sounds like maybe you had a sort of a structure in place from the beginning, but then you kind of built in the ability to kind of improvise, it sounds like, a little bit. And so how did the improvisation kind of in between parts work? Was that people coming to you? Was that you like seeing an opportunity and going to them, family notwithstanding, and friends notwithstanding? How did the kind of in between parts of the tour work?
When I in between big events, like I was mostly just doing podcasts and things like that. So, and maybe like meetups with like super fans, but not that much. I mean, I came home between stops on my America tour for sure. Like there was, I think we did a leg that was one after another. And in between those, what did I do? I think I just like hung out with friends in whatever city I was in.
That's where you did your networking.
Right. No, I didn't. I just hang out with like the people I already love and know. I need to go.
That's great.
I need to be broader. But
you needed to be like refreshed probably on some level though.
I don't know. I'm like, I'm an extrovert. I just get so much energy out of talking with people. And if someone's like read my book and they know so much about my life, then like I really enjoy it. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more like for you, it's almost like a conversation writing a book. It sounds like, as opposed to here's my ideas, now just deal with it.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of authors are like that, but I don't mean to disparage authors, but I feel like you're kind of like starting a conversation, and we'll come to the hopeful continuation of your work in a minute. But I was wondering, just strictly when it comes to the book tour, were there any kind of like unexpected events? You talked about some people not showing up, which is unexpected, but were you surprised by anything when you're on tour? And again, maybe this could be helpful for our aspiring writers in the audience.
I didn't, you know what? I guess that there was definitely like some crazy people. And
it's good to know.
And that's okay though. I mean, basically everyone just wants to be listened to. And so sometimes people would like ask questions that were really just talking about their lives. So you just need like a good stock phrase. I think just once or twice I kind of got a heckler who was like, I hate your book. And you just have to be, and Gretchen Rubin actually told me this. You're like, you just have it's so awkward, right? Everyone's so tense and you have to be like, well, I'm not for everyone. And then like, okay, we're relaxed again. No big deal. Yeah, because I'm not for everyone. Who is? That would be very bland.
Yeah, I like you have a good ability to win over crowds, I think, just from seeing your one stop in DC. But it's almost like I don't want to say it's like a comedy show, but you talk about hecklers. I mean, it's sort of like you have to deal with the unexpected, which again, I think if I were on tour and I was a published writer, I was on tour, I would be mortified if there was a heckler. I wouldn't even think that could be a thing, right? So it's good for the introverts in the audience to realize this could happen and prepare accordingly.
Yeah, that could. If I wasn't prepared, even the extrovert that I am, I would have cried. But I was ready for it because Gretchen Rubin told me what to say.
And Gretchen Rubin, was she she's one of the people co-headliners, I would say, right?
Actually, I asked her, but she was like busy. She's very famous though. She wrote The Happiness Project.
Okay.
And she's a great entrepreneur too. If in fact, I like kind of, if I was more popular, I would just be copying everything she does. Like she's got a newsletter, she's got like workshops, she's doing everything right.
Excellent. Well, and that maybe the audience reaction, is that based on location? So did the audiences in America differ from the audiences in like Italy, for instance?
Oh my God. The Italian book tour was what I wanted my American book tour to be. That was my dream. Yeah, it was amazing. It was like, the only problem was I had no idea what anyone was saying. But
but the gestures, you could get the gestures.
Right. I mean, I spoke to two enormous crowds. One of them was at this festival in Italy that was sort of like the equivalent of the New Yorker festival, if that makes
Oh.
sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like a media outlet called Il Post, I believe. Well, I'm looking at to see it. This is their, I think that's their logo. But they were like the first news outlet in Italy to be online and to have podcasts.
Oh, wow.
So they were really,
okay.
they're like dominant, I think, in media there. And they had this, and so they have all these personalities that people like want to interact with. And I got interviewed by like these famous-ish Italian podcasters. And so I don't think everyone was there to see me, but they got to hear me. And I had a simultaneous translator who was doing a killer job. Oh my God. Cause I just talk and talk and talk and run on sentences. Even when I like wrote myself a note to try to like talk it, just like stop at ideas. And she just would write on her notepad and just I don't know for sure that she got it right word for word, but it seemed like she was doing it. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that was my next question is how did you manage to, was it a Google Translate situation? But you literally had a translator there, which is great.
Yeah, she was amazing. And then she was with me when I was signing books. I had this great, huge line to sign books. People were waiting for like an hour. It was really crazy. And I would just be like, blah, 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 like at people. And they would be like, uh-huh. But then she would step in occasionally and help out.
Crash course in Italian. Right. Yeah, that was so funny. Back to the DC Politics and Prose tour date that I was at. Mm-hmm. It was funny that they were so concerned on the front end about the fire codes.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, there were long lines like snaking all around, like to get you to sign the book and everything. So
oh yeah, DC was so great, and now I know, like that's not because I'm cool and famous. It's because I have lots of really, really good friends in DC. So thank you for coming.
Oh, it was like a reunion. Yeah. It was so you were really the catalyst for that. So thank you. It was so neat to see.
It was a really fun party.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why we got to write a second book.
Oh, I had to make myself my own book cake, right? Like I thought my publisher might do it.
Oh.
But they did not. But it's very,
is that a thing?
It's very easy to do. Did you not get a piece of book cake?
I don't think I did.
Oh my gosh. Even if you don't.
It was a little bit of chaos. So I was like,
it was chaos.
In a good way, in a fun way. Yeah. I don't know that I remember a cake. Oh. Is that a thing? Is that like a traditional thing to have a book cake, like at your first?
You know what? I might have made it up. I don't know, but I like that. Maybe I read about it somewhere. In any case, it's very easy. You just send a copy of like the PDF of your cover to this company on Amazon that prints it out on like fondant, and then you just buy a cake and put it on, and it looks
cool.
Amazing. It looks like it was like made like that.
You'll have to send me a picture of that.
Yeah, it was great.
I want to see. It's probably on your website, actually.
Highly recommend making yourself a book cake, even if you don't have a book tour. Like just for a book, throw yourself a book party and make a book cake. Like everyone should do this. Yes,
I love that. Yeah, let's do it. We'll start it. You heard it here first, folks. Okay. So and I know we've talked considerably already about social media, but now that you're kind of on the other side of your book tour, and you and I have talked a little bit about maybe a second book. I know you're working on certain pieces to kind of position yourself to maybe be able to write a second book. In the kind of that not knowing period that you're sort of in right now, are you kind of looking to social media as a way to kind of maintain your audience, or and if so, like how are you trying to be kind of strategic about it, or are you just kind of taking things as they come, ideas as they come, and then doing that kind of on a kind of like a more creative level, or how are you kind of doing that?
I think I keep going back and forth about whether I should come up with like a consistent strategy and just implement it, or if I'm still in the messing around phase of things. So
aren't we all? Yeah.
Yeah. So that is where I've been for like a year now, just like messing around on TikTok, on doing short form videos. And the reason for this is because basically my agent said to get like my book sold okay. Like there was a second printing, but it's not like I'm not like a superstar, right? And that's kind of where you have to be these days to get a major publisher book deal. And so I think that So what my agent said I have to do is get like a think piece that is the thesis for my next nonfiction book, like into the Atlantic, and get everyone, and it needs to be a huge hit that everyone talks about, right? Like, not a big deal. Just kidding. It's a huge, difficult thing to do. And
Right.
so I pitched my idea, which is about the importance of play. And I had this whole like sort of argument outlined, and I pitched it to the Atlantic and like heard nothing, just like crickets. So I broke that story into 3 parts and got it published. I got one part published in the New Yorker, and then the other 2 parts I think are going to get published in National Geographic and the New York Times Magazine. And so once I have all 3 of those parts, like maybe with my burgeoning social media presence, I can get like a second book deal, and I don't have to get a real job. But I might have to get a real job, and that's okay.
You write a book about that.
Oh yeah, that would be riveting.
You'll be undercover. It's like an undercover research. You have to get a new job.
Like, I forgot what offices are like.
Or is this something where you'd like to go beyond the genre and maybe even try, I don't know, fiction or something like that? Or do you feel like there's more than enough content for a lifetime in this, the way you're going now? Or
yeah, I mean, honestly, like, neuroscience is making huge progress all of a sudden, right? Like, and also psychology. I mean, I feel like it's such a young field that I personally got to meet like some of the most famous people in it. And vision science, which I've been focusing on recently, like I like personally know like all of the top researchers now. And that's just wild. Like, these are the people who are going to be in the future textbooks. And so on one hand, like, we have no idea how the brain works, right? But on the other hand, it's like, but we are like, they're at the cusp of like huge progress, especially with AI to help them, I think. And anyway, yeah. So neuroscience and psychology is a great field to be covering if you're covering nonfiction. And I would love to keep doing it. But, I don't know if there is an appetite for it, because honestly, like, I'm sort of apolitical. Like, I don't want to say, like, I just get really bored by politics, and it's such a heavy, stressful moment in the world, and everyone's attention rightfully is just riveted on politics. And so, whereas my area is just more like whimsical and more like wonder and awe and that kind of thing. And so I don't know if the world really needs me right now or is interested in me, but I'm just going to keep on trucking, and hopefully they'll come around.
I think it does need you. And I'm not just saying that to be nice. I think that, I mean, and I don't want to make light of it, because you in your book and in your journalistic writing, you cover heavy subjects, but you just have such a great way of leavening that with like humor. I just think you're a real talent, and I hope you keep going
on this
trajectory. Absolutely.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. We'll have to have you, back and check your progress, because, like we were talking offline about how you felt that maybe, I hope I'm not, talking outside of school here, but you were talking about maybe how journalism is on the wane in some ways, just as an industry. I mean, forget about the genre you're working in.
Yeah.
Do you feel like we're in real jeopardy of that? And if so, if in a doomsday scenario, do you see things going more in the social media kind of realm, or because you're there, you're on the ground seeing this?
Right. It's just wild. I mean, yeah, I was fired from the Washington Post before it was cool, laid off. Now
everyone's getting laid off. Yeah,
no, exactly. It's so wild.
It is.
I just don't know. I mean, I'm not a good future guesser, but if I was forced to make a relatively near-term guess, I do think that newsfluencers are the future, sort of individual people who, like, people will have sort of a curated group of individuals that they follow the news through, I assume. But on the other hand, like, you really do need like those on the ground reporters, like discovering what's going on in the world, who have expertise in areas, so I don't know what the future is going to be. All I know is I'm not on trend, right? Like, I'm a writer and a journalist. Like, that's like being a travel agent in the like
right.
in the like 90s or something. Like, these aren't. So
I don't know though. I mean, it could boomerang around, because there's, it could go the way you're talking, or there's probably innumerable ways. But one way, with all the AI and the deep fakes and everything, like you said, it's a curated group, and you're doing the effort of kind of showing the behind the scenes to build that credibility.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know, there's something about sitting down and writing that slows things down.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
the
and you can
medium is the
reason.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and so like I wonder if it'll boomerang at some point back around and be like, this is the only way to really do, kind of like science, right? There's like doing things kind of at a slower pace just to make sure that we're kind of trying to find ground truth.
Yeah.
I don't know. You never know, but I think you're hopefully just keep on this track. We need you at
Let's
the end
make
of the day.
predictions and write them in envelopes and then open them up in like 25 years and then laugh at how wrong we
Time
were.
capsule. Yeah, exactly. I buried a time capsule at my mom's house and now I can't find it.
Oh no! Oh no!
I don't know if it
put
just
metal on it so you can metal detector it.
Yeah, we do have a metal detector, so I have not tried that.
Oh, yeah.
But I fear that I put it in a cardboard box or something when I was a very little kid, and I put some toys in it and some other things that I think were dated and stuff. And I know right where I buried it, but I can't seem to find it.
Oh my God! You gotta try.
It's another short film.
I did it too. I also buried a time capsule, but I think I dug it up when my family moved, and then I just lost it the normal way. So.
Oh shoot! Well, at least you had that one memory. That's good. You could track at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Sadie. I really appreciate you coming on today. And if people want to, we'll in the show notes we'll list out your social media handles and any other kind of pertinent details. Is there a quick way people can get in touch with you if they want to continue the conversation?
Totally. People can email me sadied@gmail.com, and that's my real email. So I'll email you back.
Yep. I can attest to that. Well, thank you so much. And please come back. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.